crucial hearing in the long-running Deepam controversy that's set for a verdict by the Madras High Court. Now, the Madurai Bench is going to be deciding on this case concerning the traditional lighting of the Deepam on the hilltop near the Sikandar Badusha Dargah. The dispute began after a lower court judge in December of 2025 ordered that the Deepam be lit atop the historic stone lamp, a pillar, and that is known as the Deepa Thoon. This is the Deepa Thoon on that very hilltop. However, despite the court's directives, the ceremonial lighting was not carried out on that designated day, leading to contempt proceedings against the government officials for failing to implement the order. In response, now the government of Tamil Nadu has filed an appeal against the directive of the single-judge bench, arguing that allowing the ritual could lead to public order issues given the proximity of the Dargah. And, well, my colleague Sam Daniel is going to be joining us, and Sam is going to be taking us through the latest.
Thank you, Divya. We come to you from outside the Madurai Bench of the Madras High Court, which at 10:30, in half an hour from now, would give its orders on that appeal filed by a batch of petitioners, including the temple, Tamil Nadu government and the police, challenging the single-judge order which had directed the temple to light Deepam on the pillar on the hilltop next to the Dargah. At that time, the temple did not comply with the order, saying the temple cannot be forced, and for over a century the Deepam lighting has been taking on another part of the hill next to the Uchipallayar temple. And the Tamil Nadu government and the police also had argued that this could lead to law and order situation. The temple and the government and the Dargah also argued, largely saying there is no scientific evidence that the pillar on top of the hill was used for lamp lighting in the past, and that could be a boundary stone, and for over a century the lighting has been going on another part of the hill next to the Uchipallayar temple, and this order could actually affect religious sentiment as well. And the police also cited this could lead or trigger law and order problems, and the petitioner argued that that is very speculative and that this ought to be done as it's coming under Article 25. Legal experts say there could be three possibilities. One, the Madurai Bench could actually allow the writ appeal filed by the Tamil Nadu government and the temple, which could, in that sense, in that case, quash the single-judge order and could also quash the contempt proceedings initiated by the single judge, in this case, Justice G.R. Swaminathan. The other option, the court...
Because the case that's being made is that the government is arguing that there is no historical, archaeological or documentary evidence to prove the same, or that it was ever done in the past.
That's right. The pillar next to the Dargah on the hilltop, the government says there's no proof, documentary evidence in that sense, that it was meant for lighting of lamp and that it was used in the past to light lamp. They also argue it could have been used by the summoners living on the hilltop during ancient time, and that's why they say the court cannot direct the temple to light the Deepam in addition to the place where traditionally the Kartikai Deepam is lit, and the temple also argues that for ages they've been following the Agama principles according to which the lighting has been happening near the Uchipallayar temple.
Right, of course, what time is this coming up in court to begin with? Because that verdict is, all eyes on that very crucial verdict that's coming up.
It's listed as number 1, Divya. At 10:30 the court will start, so we can expect the judges to deliver the verdict soon after the court session commences. So around 10:35, 10:40, we can expect the orders to be released.
Well, there are multiple parties and there are multiple parties that have made that appeal. Take us through, the different parties that are fighting this case.
There are at least 18 petitioners who have filed appeals challenging the single-judge order, including the temple administration, the police commissioner, the collector, the Tamil Nadu government, the Dargah, the Waqf board, and also several other individuals and groups who have filed. From the petitioner's side, it's an individual who had filed the petition, and the single judge had first ordered the temple to light the Kartikai Deepam on that hilltop pillar next to the Dargah, in addition to the regular place where the Kartikai Deepam is being lit. And at that time, the court said no. And then the same day of the Kartikai Deepam, the judge had also initiated contempt proceedings and then permitted the petitioner to trek to the hilltop himself, escorted by CISF personnel to light the lamp. But at that time, the district administration had promulgated prohibitory orders, and the petitioner, along with the 10 people permitted, could not go up. The next day, the judge quashed the prohibitory orders and directed the petitioner to be escorted by the state police to light the lamp on the hilltop. And even that could not happen because the police stopped him, saying that there are law and order concerns. There were protests happening on the ground, and that the government was also moving the court for filing an appeal.
Sam, joining us, of course, also is ex-MLA and leader of the BJP, Vijay Dharani, and also we have Pullarao, Dr. Pullarao, political analyst with us. Going across to Dr. Pullarao first. Sir, you know, basically the government is saying in Tamil Nadu that there is no historical proof to prove the same as far as the lighting process is concerned on top of that hilltop.
You see, to be very balanced, let me straight away say, I have definitely no strong affinities. But the fact is, this issue has come up recently. It is a legacy issue going on to British times. Various disputes were there. Some decision on High Court was given there. I'm happy. But then after the decision, there was a kind of triumphalism that we did it, and many of it is not necessary in religious issues in this country. The social and religious issues in this country have not been settled yet. We have been a nation from 1947. It takes hundreds of years. Even European countries are fighting with each other over such issues. Therefore, I felt that after the initial High Court decision, though I had strong reservations on the style and way of delivery of the High Court judgment, where the Honorable Judge became too personal. I've said it here, I've said it everywhere. A judge should be distant and very dispassionate and limited in words in giving judgment. The way the judgment was given, that created controversy. I didn't create it, you didn't create it. The atmosphere created it. Moreover, in Tamil Nadu, these issues are there for the last 150 years. That is why the British, who were ruling from 1780 or something, and Madras presidency, one of the oldest ones, created all these issues. These are divisive issues, historical legacy issues. They have to be handled with a great amount of sensitivity and long term. Just a small political party in that state should not rake up these issues, getting mileage and attention. Now it has gone to the High Court for a decision. After the High Court, naturally it will go to the Supreme Court. Therefore, I believe it has been mishandled very carefully. They should have digested the decision and been very careful. It's a legacy issue. What points are we going to get? These legacy issues in a state raked up and down, up and down. They create other problems all around the country, create an element of instability. Is this right?
Right. Let's also get in Vijay Dharani. Ma'am, of course, the police is saying this is a very sensitive area and this could perhaps disturb the peace in the area.
See, now this Privy Council has given an order even as early as in 1885 and 1912. The orders are there to light the lamp in the Deepa Thoon. Actually, this problem is created by a few miscreants, and people there, the Hindus and Muslims are all together. They have no objection in lighting the lamp, and it is more being made political. The court has also gone into all the issues way back 100 years, how this matter was handled, and lighting of lamp was happening for a long time. And suddenly now, because of the DMK government, jumped into the fray and trying to appease the minorities, they tried to do something. It is more election stunt, which the DMK is doing. And we are very clear about it, that the court will go into the merits, and definitely there will be in future the lighting of lamp in the Deepa Thoon will happen, and the Supreme Court is also going to uphold the decision. The division bench has also upheld the decision of the single judge, Justice D.R. Swaminathan's judgment has been upheld, and the division bench consisting of 2 judges also have confirmed the order of the single judge, and the lighting of the lamp has to happen. And this is nothing but more politicking by the ruling DMK. And we are very clear that the right of the Hindus have been distorted by a group of politicians and nothing else. And it
Right,
is
ma'am,
all
let's just
that.
also, listen into the arguments in court. Basically, the Dargah Council has ordered, in order to pass that ritual, to pass the lighting of the Deepam on the pillar. Now, the Dargah was not handled correctly. That is the argument that's being made in the court. Of course, the verdict is expected at about 10:30, just half an hour's time from now. But the Dargah is not going to be taking over the property of the temple. That is the argument that's also made, mooting new systems to protect the temple property. The Hindu religious and cultural endowment, as far as the department is concerned. And this is the only pillar for the lighting of the Deepam. The Deepam lighting has been happening over the past 100 years. While the government on the other side is saying there's no proof of this, why no proof has been provided yet is also the argument that has taken place in the Supreme Court. The order is to light the lamp in a public place, and that is unacceptable. So all these arguments that have taken place as far as the court is concerned. So the Deepam Rao there with the Stalin government objecting, in fact saying that there is no proof of the matter, that this was not happening in the past, and therefore they are objecting. The government is objecting. The petitioners are disrupting the harmony as far as the communal harmony is concerned, and the barricades were broken, the police was assaulted, and a fear has come true. Instead of 10 petitioners, they went with a mob, created unrest. Those are the accusations that are being made. Let's go across back to our guests, and we have, in fact, Dr. Rao. Let's talk about the claims that are being made in regard to the mob that was created, the unrest that's been created, and how sensitive this zone really is.
You see, let me tell you, as I just heard the respected MLA say, you Privy Council has given it. Privy Council should not be quoted. It was during British times. They gave a lot of decisions against India. Are we going to go by them? They divided Bangladesh, East Pakistan as they liked. Do we go by them? Of course not. Therefore, let's forget that. Let's take the contemporary issues. You want the country to be more polarized? Can't you take your decision with less enthusiasm and triumphalism? When the decision came, let me tell you humbly, did you hear of this issue before this came to the courts and they made it political? I am very sorry about it. A religious issue should have been kept as a religious issue. They keep saying Muslims are for it. I didn't see they should have tackled the Muslims. They should have met them. They should have involved them. There should have been a sense of diplomacy. But instead of a sense of diplomacy, it became we won. It's not correct. In a state like Tamil Nadu or anywhere. And remember, Honorable MLA has said government is there. Yes, there's a government, a DMK government in Tamil Nadu, a CPM government in Kerala, and the BJP government in Uttar Pradesh. Governments have power. The elections have consequences. People should not have made this a political issue. It would have been sorted out with respect. When you make it a political issue, the issue itself becomes controversial. People shy away. And in a state like Tamil Nadu, which everybody knows these issues are going on peacefully also. There are 80,000 temples in Tamil Nadu. Most of them, and mind you, the ADMK partner of BJP has kept quiet. They have not said anything.
Right.
No other political party.
We also have with us Dr. Sumant Raman, political analyst, joining us as well. The claims that are being made as far as the court is concerned, that we do not and should not be allowed to look at, customs that have been followed from the British time. While, they're saying this is a very ancient practice. However, the government is refuting those claims.
No, I think I disagree with what Mr. Pullarao said, because who actually politicized it? The Muslims don't have a problem. The Muslim community in that area are very clear that this is not their property. It is outside the area of the Dargah, and their rights are not being affected in any manner. It is the government that is creating the issue in order to harvest the minority vote. So I think that today's judgment is going to be important, but you must understand that, there is a case in the Supreme Court, right? So this is not the end of the story. Whatever be the verdict, that comes today, this is not the end of the matter. There will, if the government does not get a favorable verdict, almost certainly they will appeal. And anyway, there is a matter pending in the Supreme Court. So I think that whatever it is, whatever verdict we get today, we will have to sort of wait for some more time and just take it, one step at a time. Because very unfortunately, the government has tried to bring the land into dispute again, something which was settled by the Privy Council of the British. The state government wants to bring that land dispute back into the reckoning, which is a tragedy because that matter was closed, that was settled, and nobody has had a problem with it for the last 100 years. Nobody, no Dargah organization has been saying that the location where the Deepa Thoon is situated belongs to them. They are not saying it. The state government is trying to now reopen the land case, which is an absolute travesty, because this matter was settled literally in 1931, and now almost 100 years later they want to reopen that matter. So I think it is very unfortunate, but I have faith that the judiciary should take care of whatever the issues are and deliver a verdict which would be acceptable to all communities.
Right. This is the objection that's coming about as well. And let's just talk about the objections that are being raised as far as the court is concerned. And we are talking about the objections in regard to the barricading, the barricades that were broken, the police assaulting that has taken place, the fears that have come true. And instead of 10 petitioners, they went with a mob that created unrest. Now, the courts cannot punish, but there is a procedure that needs to be adopted. That is what is being said in court. Now, the court has travelled beyond the scope of the contempt petition. That is another charge that's being made. And the contempt action should be taken against the petitioner instead. Where does the judge get the authority to send CISF? And the orders of the single judge, unfortunately, is judicial overreach is the claim that is being made here. Now, also, it is the devotees that are fighting for that lighting of that lamp, and this is that it has been in existence since earlier times, and that the litigation allowed lighting lamps 15 meters away from the Dargah. The customs should not be looked at from, the British period. The lighting of the lamp is a practice that is being followed, and it is being followed since ancient Tamils and ancient times that this practice has been in place. That is the argument in court, but the verdict that is now awaited. So let's go back to Dr. Tula Rao. Sir, your reaction to the kind of stand that the government should be taking on this issue.
One thing, definitely I agree with one point of Mr. Sumant Raman. Whatever decision is taken today, it will trigger a great activity in the Supreme Court, because both sides have made it a prestige issue in a way. The government will take the simple stand, where I disagree with anyone on any issue of religious is, the government of the day has to keep an eye on the law and order, and definitely on elections. Governments are there for political reasons. People are catering. All parties are trying to cater to some section, and we can't find fault with them. That's the way our democracy has panned out in India, that we appeal to caste, religion, etc., language, all of that. So I think the government will go to the Supreme Court if it doesn't get a fair decision here. And normally, I don't want to be an astrologer as far as judicial decisions are concerned. When one High Court judge makes a decision at a bench, normally they go by that, normally. So definitely this will play out to the Supreme Court. I only say, and I still maintain it, when such a decision comes, you have to be less triumphal. These trigger all kinds of sentiments all over the country. And what are the political points being gained? I will say political points are not gained anymore on such issues. They have not handled it properly. This will go to the Supreme Court. Whatever decision the Supreme Court gives, the state government will abide by it happily, just as they did in Uttar Pradesh. Every state government has to do that. And I'm confident that the Supreme Court will consider a lot of aspects. And it's always, people imagine that if a High Court gives a decision, you go to Supreme Court and you'll get it. You can't say that. You have to wait and watch. Supreme Court may go any way. There may be new facts which come up. There'll be other lawyers arguing, a higher level of lawyers on both sides. So therefore, it is unfortunate, but it will play out in the Supreme Court.
Absolutely. Let's also, go through the order that came about on the 3rd of November 2025. And this is the Madras High Court's order that allowed the lighting of the lamps on the hilltops, which is part of the Tamil tradition. That is what the High Court had gone on to say. The very purpose of lighting that lamp basically is the rights that should not be jeopardized. So the temple's rights could be jeopardized, and that is the petitioner needs to go up the hill. That is what the petitioner has said on those grounds, that this is an exercise that needs to be carried out and light that lamp, the Deepa Thoon. Now, this is symbolic gesture and cannot be lost sight of. That is what the petitioners in the case are saying. Do remember there are various parties, 8 parties that are fighting this case, and 10 other people along with the petitioner were allowed, in fact, to go up the hill. Now, the CISF team was there also to offer protection to the petitioner and to the team, and the rights of the Muslims won't be affected in any regard or in any way, any manner whatsoever. The attempts that are being made by the mosque trustee is to encroach, and that is what the order that came out on the 3rd of November by the High Court of Madras had to say on the matter. Vijay Dharni with us still. Ma'am, your reaction as far as, this case is concerned. Let's talk about tradition, and let's talk about, what has been happening in the past, and how will this impact the situation going forward?
See, now it is very clear. The court has given a verdict, and the division bench also has given a verdict. And the lighting of lamp in the Deepa Thoon is not going to affect anybody. It is only being politicized, as I told. See, in the Dargah, recently there was one function. For that, the state government has supported the Dargah people to carry the flag to the Dargah and perform their duties. There is nothing wrong in it. Nobody is objecting that. No Hindu is objecting that. Likewise, Muslims are also not objecting to the lighting of the Deepa Thoon in that area. They are peacefully living there. Hindus and Muslims are cordially and peacefully living there. But the DMK government is very clear that the entire state they wanted.
Sir, get in Sumant as well. Sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to point out an absurdity here. Let's say you file a case. Here in this case, HRNC, the Hindu side of the temple, though it is not the HRNC, a worshipper files a case. The verdict goes in favor of the temple. Have you ever come across a case where the temple goes on appeal against a judgment which favors it? I mean, a judgment is passed in favor of the temple. Not only does the temple go on appeal, they hire senior counsels like Mr. Vikas Singh, spending lakhs of public money on an appeal for a judgment which goes in their favor. I don't know in Indian judicial history whether this would ever have happened, where you get a verdict in your favor and go on appeal against that. I mean, there have been cases where you want something else in a prayer which is not granted, and the prayer is partly granted, you go on appeal. But this is something unheard of, and the temple money is being spent to argue against the temple. I mean, this is absolutely unbelievable. I don't think anywhere in India this will be.
Ma'am, if you'd like to respond to that.
This is devotees' money. The devotees' money is being utilized by the temple to file a case where the temple has won the case.
Exactly. And
devotees' money is misused.
Dr. Tula Rao, your take.
No, definitely. There's no time to answer Mr. Ramanji. There are numerous examples where their own department, West Bengal, land reforms, land acquisitions, all these are there. Therefore, let us not go into that. If you want to look forward, I suggest that, as I suggested, there should be no triumphalism. There was triumphalism. It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. That's what they've done. The issue has got clouded. Somebody wants political points. It won't work there. It has not worked there. Why do you do it? Why do you put flags of politics behind a temple? I still don't understand that. And one more thing I want to say, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, the temples are nicely being managed by the government, even Tirupati, which the British took over. Why doesn't the same parties agitate there and say release these temples in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana? Because they are part of it. Therefore, let's not go into that. Let us say it's unfortunate. Just wait for the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, I wish, will give a precedent-making decision that party should be very cautious when they go forward like this. And they should not.
Right, let's just also get details. Sorry for disrupting this conversation for now. Let's just get details first. A fight of faith. When we talk about this fight for faith and the timeline as far as the events are concerned, let's date it back to the 3rd of December, when the Madras High Court allowed the devotees to light the Deepam. So the High Court basically said that 10 devotees will be allowed, but they need the protection of the CISF. So that was what was decided, and that will take place post 6 p.m. Now the police and the devotees ended up clashing, and the clash that took place was that the devotees were finally not allowed to even light the Deepam. Now by the 4th of December, the Madras High Court dismisses the plea by the government of Tamil Nadu, the DMK's plea to stop the Deepam, allowing the devotees. The High Court went on to say, on the 5th of December, it was the MPs of the DMK, they were seeking the High Court judge impeachment. On the 18th of December, the Madras High Court reserved the order as far as the Deepam appeal is concerned. The very next day on the 19th, the Madras High Court stays the order as far as the order to light the Deepam, and that was, what has happened, the timeline so far. But the case has been in court, and now, of course, the verdict that is expected minutes from now, in fact, at 10:30 is when the case is going to be coming up in the court. Now, let's just also get in, ma'am, Miss Vijay Dharani. Well, when we talk about this particular case, when it comes to the faith as far as Muslims are concerned, there's certain restrictions and certain guidelines that need to be followed in order to ensure that this practice continues. If you could get us the details of that.
Now, once the court passes an order, it also clearly states how the protection has to be given. It is clearly stating in the state police, what is the role of the state police, what is the role of the CISF, and how it could be done, and who are the persons, 10 people who will be going. All the details have been discussed in detail by the honorable judges. The division bench also made it very clear that the single judge order is clear, and the Deepam lighting of Deepa Thoon is nothing wrong. So, and it is quite far away from the Dargah also. So it is not going to affect anybody. That is the view of the single judge as well as the division bench judges. So while that being so, the DMK government has gone to the extent of giving impeachment against the judge. So is this the practice for every judgment given by the judges? If one has to go for impeachment in the parliament, see the attitude, the attitude of the DMK government threatening the judges. So this is what we are opposing. So this should not be the case. The judiciary is one of the pillars of the constitution. Can they be threatened? It's also a question which has to be raised. For every case, if one has to go for impeachment, then how many impeachments have to be done in this country? So one has to go back and think about all these things. And harmony, of course, everybody wants harmony in this country. Nobody wants any disruption in the religious rights of anybody. There is no second thought about it. So to bring about harmony, naturally, the Sikandar Dargah, they have hoisted the flag. The Hindus have kept quiet and they have participated in the process and they have followed a harmony. Like that, the Deepa Thoon issue also, the Muslims have expressed in various media and social medias, they have expressed that they are supporting the lighting of the lamp in the Deepa Thoon and they also want to be part of it. And that kind of an harmony is found among the people. Why the government and the temple administration, which is functioning under the DMK government, is opposing to that is the only question which is making things more politicized and making an appearance as if they are trying to appease the minorities in the rest of the part of Tamil Nadu. So this is purely electoral politics. In next 2-3 months, the election is around, and that is the reason this is being conducted by the DMK government in this fashion. Otherwise, things would have been, they would have obeyed the court order, and the Dargah administration also would have done their formal rituals as usual. So all the rituals would have gone as usual, and there would have been a very harmonious situation. Now the
Dr. Tullarao,
harmony is disrupted only by politics, nothing else.
Right. We also have my colleague Uma joining us. Uma, of course, the state has reiterated that the Deepa Thoon had links to Jain sages from several years ago and was not intended for this particular lighting of the lamp.
So this is a decades-old debate that has been going on about the Thiruparankundram hill shrine itself. And yes, the argument of the state government has been that the Deepa Thoon that we are talking about, the Thoon is a pillar in Tamil. And what that means is that atop the pillar, they do not want the lamp to be lighted. And that's the entire controversy with the court actually granting permission to the pilgrim to light that and also providing CISF security. But both the state government as well as the temple not in favor of something like that. So that's the reason why the Madurai Bench verdict is going to be very, very critical and it of course has political ramifications as well. Back to you.
Uma, when we talk about, various parties, the appeals have been made separately, whether it's the state, the district authorities, the Tamil Nadu Waqf Board and the Sikandar Badusha Dargah situated on the hilltop. Take us through the case that they're making, in this regard.
So there are three things here that we must look at. One, that this is a shrine. The Thiruparankundram shrine is something that is called Murugan Swami or Subramanya Swami, and he's someone very, very special to, especially in the Tamil land. And Thiruparankundram, of course, is a place, very, very pious place for the Hindus there. But this Dargah has also existed there, and therefore both of them coexisted for several decades as well. But with this issue coming up, whether a Deepam, the Kartikai Deepam, can be lit on the Deepa Thoon is the entire center of the controversy, and at this time when the state government's opinion itself has been that that would lead to some kind of a communal tension in the area. That's the reason why they say that for years now there has been no lighting of the Kartikai Deepam on the Deepa Thoon itself, which is the pillar that we are talking about, on which the lamp is meant to be lit. And that's the argument that the state government has given, saying that we believe that there is a communal issue, and that's the reason why they did not allow the pilgrim to go ahead and light the lamp, even though there was a court order, and of course multiple petitions were filed.
Right, of course, the objection being that it's very close to the Dargah, that would result in an influx of devotees and would, basically cause inconvenience to the minority community. That is the stand that they're taking in this case.
Yes, they are very sensitive in this case about the minority sentiments, and that's the reason why they believe that the lighting of the lamp on the Deepa Thoon itself would cause communal disharmony, whereas the view taken by the court is that there is an Agama Shastra that allows this to happen, and there is no empirical evidence really to show that there could be a disturbance because of this. The state government and the police and the temple authorities, however, believe that this could cause a law and order issue, and that's the reason why physically something like this was stopped from happening. The lighting of the lamp was stopped. Of course, there is a larger political ramification in this with the seeming conflict between the two religions is something that will play out in the political ground, especially in a year when we are talking about Tamil Nadu going to elections, and whether the ruling party is trying to assuage the minority community or whether the BJP is taking the stance that the rights of the Hindu community should not be compromised. That is really the heart of the issue.
Right, Uma, the land that had been granted to the Dargah since 1920, and of course the council there saying that the community has been facing repeated difficulties in the past as well.